Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
Glenn, here's something everyone's been talking about because, you get people, you were on with our other new best friend, Brian Tyler Cohen, who you told us all about. But you said Donald Trump is criminally responsible for the crimes of Giuliani, Eastman, and others via the legal doctrine of co-conspirator liability. Explain that.
Yeah, so there's a reason Jack Smith included all of those co-conspirators in not only the Trump indictment, but in the recent mega filing. Yeah. And he labeled them CC1, CC2, CC3. But it's no secret that these are folks like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell and John Eastman and Kenneth Chesebro. And the beauty of co-conspirator liability says, when you join a criminal endeavor, when you agree to commit a crime with one or more people, you're part of a criminal conspiracy, you are guilty of every single crime committed by every member of the conspiracy, whether you personally participated in that crime or not, because the law deems that when people join forces to commit crimes in a conspiracy, everybody gets tagged with every crime. And not only that, Steph, the admissibility of co-conspirator statements means every incriminating statement every co-conspirator made. Like when John Eastman said after the Capitol attack, look, I know we violated the law, but can we engage in just one more minor violation of the Electoral Count Act? That's admissible as if it tumbled out of the rancid mouth of Donald Trump himself. That is the law of co-conspirator liability, which is why I say Trump's going to be convicted in a D.C. minute as soon as we get these cases to trial.
D.C. minutes are quicker than ours, which is good, I assume. Okay. If we've talked, I don't know how many new crimes we've just touched on just in this brief conversation, Glenn, but Trump's campaign frequently sends supporters contest offers that often involve opportunities to personally meet or have dinner with Trump. New York Times took a close-up look at the Trump campaign's contest, could not find any documented winner in the vast majority of the offers. So yet another scam, another grift, also illegal, right?
Yeah. You know what? One of the things that's frustrating for me as a TV legal analyst is for going on 7 years now that I've been with MSNBC, I have the hosts and the anchors ask me all the time about the breaking news. Glenn, isn't this a crime? Isn't this illegal? And my answer is always, yeah, but it doesn't seem like anybody has an appetite to prosecute the ruling class criminals. And that's where the institutions of government have fallen down on the job. We have to apply the rule of law without fear or favor against the ruling class criminals, the politicians, the oligarchs, the American mullahs, but we don't seem to have an appetite to do it. That has to change. And if it's ever going to change, Steph, it's going to change in a Harris administration.
Yes.
Somebody who is keenly aware of the need to prosecute today's criminals to deter tomorrow's criminals.
You could cut and paste this headline any day. Trump campaign may have crossed a legal line. You think? Now a warning. So let's talk, because we talked about Brett Kavanaugh. It's just the Supreme Court. I don't even know what to say anymore, Glenn. You tweeted the Supreme Court just gave the green light to states like Texas to let hospitals refuse life-saving emergency care to women if it involves terminating a pregnancy. Voting for Democrats will help save the lives of women. Let's stop this horrific assault on American women. There's two other, things they're considering. The ghost gun thing, another. It's so amazing how the right-wing justices can be so consistently wrong on everything, Glenn. But, doesn't common sense tell you that ghost guns are guns? So they grapple with whether the Biden administration exceeded its authority when it set regulation for kits that can be assembled into untraceable firearms. A majority of justice seems somewhat skeptical the rule was an overreach. So it's whether the ATF overstepped in expanding the definition of firearms to include ghost guns. They're guns with serial numbers that you can be bought online and put together in 10 minutes?
Yeah, they don't take long.
But let's be clear, Steph, we will continue to lose every battle at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will continue revoking our rights until we address the rot at the top, until we actually take on the corruption at the Supreme Court. And we have vehicles to do it. Once the House is again in Democrat control, they can and they must open impeachment investigations
Yeah.
and inquiries into the apparent crimes of people like Justice Thomas and Justice Alito.
Yeah.
We can't shy away from doing the hard work of investigating the ruling class criminals, and the Department of Justice, as they have been requested to do by Senators Whitehouse and Wyden, need to open criminal probes
Yes.
of the Thomases
Thank you.
and the Alitos. We need to take on these difficult challenges, even
Agreed.
if we don't get the result we want at the end of the day. We have to take up these fights.
Yeah, the DOJ lawyer said these guns are untraceable guns, obviously, are attractive to people who can't lawfully purchase them or plan to use them in a crime. That's just common sense. And I'm glad you brought up Alito. I've always thought he's the most despicable of a despicable group of, but I don't even have to go to law school. This one, Alito said, here's a blank pad and here's a pen. Is this a grocery list? Alito then said, if he had eggs, chopped up ham, peppers, and onions, is that a Western omelet? So the lawyer said, well, the key difference here is that these weapon parts kits are designed and intended to be used as instruments of combat. They have no other conceivable use. I mean, his arguments are just dumb, aren't they, Professor? You teach law school.
Steph, Alito is not an honest broker of the law. Think about what he did to get confirmed to the Supreme Court. He said under oath to the U.S. Senate and by extension to the American people, Roe v. Wade is settled precedent, stare decisis. It's been decided. It's been affirmed several times over, and I respect precedent.
Yeah.
What did he communicate to the senators and to us? Roe v. Wade has nothing to worry about from me. Then what did he write the minute he had the opportunity to walk Roe v. Wade deep into the woods and shoot it dead? What did he say? He said Roe v. Wade was egregiously wrong from the minute it was decided. He put the lie to his own confirmation testimony. And what do we do about it, Steph? We do nothing.
Yeah.
That's our failing. We need to take on these fights in the Harris administration.
Yeah, and by the way, we brought the stats. The lawyer said what the evidence shows, these guns are being purchased and used in crime. There was 1,000% increase between 2017 and 2021 in the number of these guns that were recovered as part of criminal investigation. The reason why you want a ghost gun is specifically because it's unserialized and can't be traced. I mean, I just long for the return of common sense to everything, not just our politics, to our judiciary. One last one. The Supreme Court appeared split about granting a new trial in a high-profile case of an Oklahoma man sentenced to death for a murder he insists he did not commit and whose execution's already been delayed 9 times. His case wound up in the Supreme Court after the Republican Attorney General of Oklahoma, in an unusual intervention, sought a new trial for him, citing grave misconduct by prosecutors who withheld evidence and a star witness who lied on the stand. I mean, they just killed, apparently, an innocent guy in Missouri, right?
Yeah, I said the appetite of some to kill folk is pretty despicable. And, you know, I handled death penalty cases, and I have never been a death penalty fan, but nor was I a conscientious objector as a prosecutor when I was asked if I would accept responsibility for a death penalty or a death-eligible case. But this has always been my position. I actually think if somebody is actually guilty, I think it is far greater punishment to have them spend the rest of their lives waking up every day knowing they will never breathe free air again if they committed the crime, rather than, you know, humanely putting them down. I know that's a horrible phrase, and I hesitate to even say it. But, I think we as a nation can do better than killing the people who violate our nation's laws. I think we can do better.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.